Ranma 1/2 was released 37 years ago today in manga form, 35 in anime form, and while the original anime was great with nice, fluid animation and plenty of charm all its own, it was also pumped to the gills with filler episodes, poor pacing, and honestly a bit of mischaracterization for the two leads, while also never truly adapting the entirety of the source material because it ended before the manga did. But luckily, the remake gives us Rumiko Takahashi's full vision in all its glory as it pulls away from the original like... If you're like me and only have a passing familiarity with Ranma, then it's basically one of the OG romantic comedies, paving the way for the future of many rom-coms we know today, while teaching a lesson in how to do a proper gag comedy that splices some love into the mix. Although for Ranma, admitting Akane is cute is like... Ranma is a girl whose dad is a panda, crazy I know, and they move into the dojo of Panda's old friend, where Ranma is then forced into an arranged marriage with one of the three daughters, introducing us to our other main lead, Akane, which culminates in a beautiful Yuri romance between Ranma and Akane as we watch them find their soulmates in one another, until halfway through the episode when Ranma whips out his dick. You know, the worst she could say is no. See, in reality, Ranma is a dude and so is his dad, but on a training trip to China, they fell into some cursed hot springs that caused them to change sex and species respectively. Although, honestly, being a panda seems pretty based. When splashed with water, and they can only revert back with hot water, which hilariously stemmed from Panda being unable to read Chinese. He's trying his best, go easy on him. Plus allowing for kooky shenanigans and misunderstandings, and now rom-com staple, except these have a reason to exist. Because it's pretty hard to tell a girl like Akane that you're secretly a hot guy and not a hot girl right after you just beat her in a fight where she told you that she praises God every day that she's never lost to a man. Yeah, kind of a rough situation.
Oh my god, I'm such a fucking idiot! Oh my god!
The beauty of this anime is that those kind of antics are wonderfully interspersed amongst the rest of its storytelling. And despite being largely episodic in the manga and original anime, the remake, perhaps through the beauty of hindsight, is able to make the anime and narrative feel a lot more cohesive instead of just being a bunch of one-off stories. And I honestly found myself enjoying that aspect the most, because it feels less like our two goobers were tackling Weird Guy of the Week, and more like I was following a well-thought-out love story that followed a proper order and gave plenty of romance and comedy. Watching Ranma and Akane adventure through school life as they meet others who either change them in their relationship in some meaningful way or become integral to their new daily life, eventually becoming lifelong friends that support them above all else, or becoming a cute pig that hates one of them. The cherry on top is that the anime accentuates all of it through fantastic production values and passion for the work, opting to make the color extremely vibrant so every scene pops in addition to its general creativity, like the recaps in just about every episode being done completely differently each time, from an 8-bit Street Fighter inspired video game recap to, whatever exactly this is. Or smaller moments such as when Akane yells and creates speech bubbles in episode 1, reverting anyone who passes through them into their manga design momentarily. Something extremely simple, but also something many people probably wouldn't have thought of. Just like you didn't think about liking the video, but you should.
Are you fading away? Are you seriously doing an outro on me right now?
The animation itself is likewise no slouch, even when it's cutting corners, utilizing the aforementioned creativity to make the fight betwixt Ranma and Akane in episode 1 look visually distinct while also saving a lot of time on animation, simply by having the sound effects used for Ranma running match up to the choppy frames. But the animation is truly at its best when it's allowed to go full nuts to butts, like when it showcases the general mannerisms of Ranma and Pig in their battle on episode 4, utilizing the fluidity of the animation to have Ranma move as light as a feather, all while exhibiting girly, almost ballet-esque movements to represent his alternate self, doing the exact same with Ryoga by having him fight like a brute to the point where he even gets on all fours at one point. Honestly, that fight alone is a great example of how much care is put into this remake, going so far as to employ a different color palette from the rest of the anime to visually showcase that it's a much more serious endeavor than any fight prior. But the older anime was, from what I've seen, as equally creative, and that's perfectly exemplified in the scene that results from the outcome of this very match, which is Akane's hair accidentally being cut. The remake plays it relatively straightforward, primarily because it tackles the outcome later in the same episode, which I will get to, but in the original, the visual depiction of her hair getting cut being tied to the screen itself cutting, as if she were losing something essential to her, exhibited far more emotion for me personally, and really encapsulated what a big moment it was for Akane and everyone else, even though this was probably her internally. But that said, it's pretty clear to me that the staff for the remake are still on another level altogether, and they're really keen to give this series the perfect adaptation it deserves, because even the director talks about his strong connection to Akane, that's Ranma's wife, back off pal, and the voice actors themselves, who are actually somehow mostly the same as they were in the original, what absolute goats, are also just as invested as all the fans, really illustrating just how passionate everyone working on it is. So while I feel like there could still be some fun, genuine debate for each version of the anime, it ultimately just comes down to what you prefer. The fun, wacky, episodic nature of the original with tons of fan service and content, or the more cohesive narrative of the remake that closely follows the manga and the proper characterization. And for me, it's easily the remake, with the tender scene between Ranma and Akane during episode 5 being what really sealed the deal for me. The same way CR929 sealed the deal by subscribing to my Patreon, where I post my reactions to all the shows I review here. Oh wait, is 2 plugs too much? Horrible! The scene is preceded by Akane crying to the doctor after losing her hair, where all of her recent troubles with Ranma and more boil over and she lets it all out, resulting in a scene that feels genuinely sad where most anime would have just felt melodramatic. And in fact, it's so well done that I felt I could feel exactly what Akane was going through and understood her all the more. That she was truly trying her best to be seen as more of a girl and less of a tomboy by the doctor, which is exactly why she grew her hair out in the first place. But those insensitive comments about her being boyish from Ranma built up over time, and it's this hair accident being primarily his fault that winds up causing her genuine grief. Because that hair symbolized everything she had worked for up until this point, and yet now it's all been thrown out the window. So when you couple that with the fact that the doctor basically confirms he never really had feelings for her, then you can understand why she'd break down. It's a sad, tender, and touching moment that the anime handles exceedingly well, with the music being just perfect. And it's followed by Ranma attempting to comfort Akane out of both guilt and newfound admiration for her, realizing that when he takes a moment to really look at her, she's pretty cute. Yet she understandably rejects and brushes him off when he tells her this, because she doesn't believe it's his real feelings and that it's not just stemming from his sense of guilt, in addition to still being conflicted about everything herself. Yet it's through his persistence that she realizes that he does genuinely have feelings for her in his own adorable way, and for that she's grateful, but it's not necessarily comforting. Yet their normal relationship, something in her direct control, is. So what would truly bring her solace is if they went back to the norm. So of course she pushes him into the water and turns him into a girl. It's a scene that hits all the right points while being adorable about it, and that honestly describes this adaptation perfectly, as it intrinsically understands the manga better than the original anime ever did, and consistently delivers on every aspect expertly, truly proving itself to be the perfect adaptation for this legendary series, and easily my favorite anime of this season.